Because of their financial advantages, it would be reasonable to believe that wealthy people had access to anything and everything. Although to a certain extent this may be the case, it does not mean that the wealthy are irresponsible with their spending. In actuality, they are frequently quite cautious. So, stay with me, and I'll tell you 9 things that rich people never buy or invest in. Number 1, TV packages and video games. You know, we would assume that because they can afford it, rich folks have huge TVs and all the newest video games. But shockingly, that's not the case. It turns out that rich people don't typically have as much time as middle-class people to enjoy these things. And this makes a lot of sense because I'm almost certain that they become wealthy by concentrating on their businesses rather than by binge-watching Netflix. According to research, people in families earning less than $25,000 annually actually spend far more time watching TV, playing video games, or listening to the radio than people in households earning more than $75,000. Contrary to popular belief, lower-income people use their gadgets more frequently than households with higher incomes. In fact, 67% of rich people claim to watch little to no television in order to concentrate on accumulating riches, according to the daily success habits of wealthy individuals. Additionally, they typically merely have a solid digital TV subscription on hand for sporadic pleasure. So, the next time you think about renewing that big digital package, you might want to think again. Number 2, luxury items. You know, it's a little difficult to imagine that wealthy individuals don't frequently purchase upscale items for their daily life. Spending extravagantly on brand clothing, purses, shoes, or cars may sound alluring, but doing so might have a negative impact on your financial situation. You know, occasionally treating oneself to something pleasant is entirely acceptable, but we should be careful to avoid spending excessive amounts of money on unnecessary items. Even while millionaires can purchase the most up-to-date fashions from renowned designers, that doesn't mean they always do. You might be astonished to learn that many wealthy people don't even own a single luxury item, and some even decide to go about their days wearing clothing purchased at a flea market. And if we follow their example, we might potentially save hundreds or even more each month. Number 3, an expensive house. It's definitely wise to keep exploring if you're looking for a new house and discover one that's just a little too expensive for your budget. You see, it doesn't make sense to buy a house that costs a lot more than you can afford. If you didn't know, maintaining a home is really expensive. The additional upgrades and opulent interiors might truly strain your budget. It's interesting to note that home buyers of all income levels compare prices. They want to ensure they are getting the greatest price possible and are not being taken advantage of. Even though they may be spending millions, they will still attempt to negotiate a lower price. Some wealthy people may decide against purchasing a luxurious home at all, and some people don't see the need to relocate to a more opulent location. They continue to reside in mansions they purchased years ago. Number 4, investing only in things that can't be touched. Stocks and bonds are frequently the first items that come to mind when people discuss investing. However, it's not always the greatest option. As you can see, extremely affluent people frequently invest in items like land, gold, residential, and commercial real estate, and even works of art. For instance, real estate is a common asset type in their portfolios to counteract the volatility of the stock market. Now, smaller buyers might stay away from these tangible assets because they aren't as easy to sell and they cost more to invest in. The extremely affluent, however, hold the opinion that possessing illiquid assets, particularly those unrelated to the market, can actually be very advantageous for an investment portfolio. Long-term returns on these investments are often favorable, and they are less impacted by market swings. So, if you're considering investing, I hope this helps you make better choices by providing some insight into how the wealthy approach it. Number 5, things that have a short lifespan. It's amazing how thrifty the wealthy are. They never waste money on things they won't use for a long time or that don't add much value. They tend to be more frugal with their money, even if they can afford to replace worn-out or damaged stuff. Rich folks are aware that sometimes going with the lowest option isn't the greatest alternative. They therefore analyze the costs and rewards of their purchases and consider their long-term value. Wealthy people may decide to stay in a cozy hotel or use their current phone instead of blowing their money on expensive excursions or the newest technology. They understand the worth of money and make an effort to avoid splurging on transient stuff. So, the lesson here is that you should think about spending on things that will be important for a long time. In the long run, this way of thinking can help us save money and make better decisions about money. Number 6, Late fees. Forgetting to pay your credit card company is a common error people make when trying to save money. Additionally, the fines might occasionally be very high. Therefore, it's a good idea to keep a systematic record of when credit card bills are due in order to prevent those extra charges. Rich people really hate having to pay late fees because they forgot to pay a bill or other responsibilities on time. They are very proactive by setting up automatic payments on all of their accounts, including credit cards, insurance, and mortgages, for this reason. They take this action because they are aware that over time, the fees for paying late can add up to a huge amount. Number 7. Investing only in the United States and Europe. You see, wealthy people actually seek beyond the European Union and the United States to frontier and emerging economies all over the world, despite the fact that these nations are frequently perceived as providing the safest and highest level of investment security. Singapore, Chile, and Indonesia are a few of the top nations where the super rich are investing. Individual investors would be wise to conduct their own study on emerging markets to determine how well they would fit into their larger investing strategies and portfolios. You see, we shouldn't limit ourselves to just a few countries because there are many chances to be found in other parts of the world. Number 8. Impulse buys. There's an adage that says you'll eventually have to sell the things you do need if you keep buying stuff you don't need. It's true that occasionally we are tempted to purchase the brand new car or cashmere sweater shown in the store window. However, wealthy people rarely buy on a whim. They may be able to afford luxuries, but before pulling out their wallets, they typically give them and their financial circumstances some thought. Therefore, it might be best to refrain from buying the pricey perfume or the enticing jacket. Many people might not be aware of this, but impulsive purchases might actually result in historically low credit balances. See, affluent people have the means to purchase the majority of the things they desire, but they opt not to do so because they question if they truly require them. We can all learn something from that, and you might be surprised at how much money you can save by being more careful with your buying. Number 9. Gambling. You see, gambling may be compulsive and lead to a variety of concerns, including loss of employment, debt, strained relationships, and even mental health problems. Because of this, wealthy people typically don't see the need to gamble away their money. Consider Warren Buffett as an example. Being among the wealthiest people in the world, he has openly denounced gambling, claiming it is similar to the government taking advantage of its people. According to him, it shouldn't be simple for people to lose their money, including their social security checks, on gaming. He even installed a slot machine in his home to demonstrate to his children how easily they might blow through their entire allowance in order to teach them a lesson about the temptation of gambling. So it's clear that many rich people know the risks of gambling and choose not to do it. Instead, they focus on more productive ways to make and keep their money. Teaching kids about the risks of gaming and how important it is to be responsible with money is a good lesson for their future. Gambling can be difficult to regulate and, if not done carefully, can result in significant financial losses. The way affluent people manage their money and the things they decide against investing in can teach us a lot. It can result in financial stability and personal development to adopt some of their habits and decision-making procedures. Keeping these lessons in mind and putting them to use can help us make better financial decisions and improve our general well-being as we go through life. I really appreciate you watching and sticking around until the end. If you want to say something or share a thought, please do so in the comments below. Last, don't forget to like this video and share the video with your family and friends. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.